Hey, it's Matt from MatthewGoronski.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Now, before we jump into today's topic, I just want to point out that the video you're about to watch is actually from the Music Tech Mastery online course, an online course specifically for choir, band, and orchestra music teachers. It's available on JW Pepper, as well as my own website. And this course actually guides music teachers through creating their own digital resources. This is specifically significant for online learning and in-classroom learning. And I have a feeling that there might be some music teachers watching who might be interested. So I'm going to include some links in the description where you can download the PDF that goes over all of the different content that's covered in the course, as well as a quick video synopsis of what's covered in the course. But thank you so much for watching. And also, please keep in mind, I believe, depending when you're watching this video, there's actually the biggest sale we've ever had on the course is going on right now. So definitely check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. But please enjoy today's video from the Music Tech Mastery online course. Hello and welcome to the virtual choir, band, and orchestra section of the Music Tech Mastery online course. Thank you so much for making it this far. Now, most of you know that I started creating this course when COVID first started getting bad. And I knew that I had some input, some tips and strategies to share with other music teachers that I thought would be helpful. And I've just been blown away by your response to the course. So thank you so much. I know a bunch of you music teachers said that it was one of the most helpful resources this past school year, and that means so much. And I just thought that this would be a great section to add to the course. So here it is. Now, in this section of the course, I'm going to go over specific tips and strategies that will help you in creating a virtual performance video. Okay, and specifically in this module, we're going to talk about 3 things that every music teacher should know before creating their own virtual performance video. And these are 3 things that, to be very clear, I don't think are talked about that much. And I'm going to kind of go into some of the reasons why they aren't talked about. Now, you guys know that I have an administrative background, that I finished my administrative degree from NYIT in educational technology and administration, but I'm still currently a music teacher, and I went into the story behind that in another module. But I want to bring that perspective a little bit to the foresight here, because I think that, again, there are some things that are not just talked about. And just to kind of tell you a little story that will kind of bring some context to this, we recently, the music teachers in our department, or actually all the teachers in our school, now that I think about it, we had to go to this training. And this training was on the social and mental well-being of teachers in a pandemic. And the person who's putting on this presentation went into all these different details about all of the things that make teachers stress out and lead to depression and mental health issues, and went into all these different details. And I was about to text, to go into the group text that the music department is in and just say, like, does anyone else feel more depressed, after hearing all of this? And I understand that the presenter was trying to contextualize the experience of teachers. But the reality is there is very little sympathy or talk of sympathy amongst colleagues. Now, everyone is saying we're all in this together, and that is true. But I think there's some holes in that. There's this mentality of everyone putting on a brave face to get through these difficult times. And I hope it's specifically in this first point, maybe you haven't heard this before from your administrator, or maybe you haven't heard this from pretty much anyone else in the teaching space. And that is this: when it comes to 3 things that every music teacher should know before creating their own virtual performance video, the very first thing you should know is that you are a music teacher. And you might be saying, well, okay, how does that help me? Yes, I know I'm a music teacher, but here's the reality. If you are a music teacher right now, you are specifically, most music teachers, at least depending on the time frame of when you're watching this, you're being pressured into doing things that are not a part of your job title, that are not a part of your regular teaching responsibilities. And the first of that is maybe creating your own virtual performance video. Now, I've been a part of and have created various virtual performances, and I'm saying from experience to any music teacher that is watching this out there, if you feel overwhelmed by this thought of creating your own virtual performance video, please know you're not alone. There are so many music teachers that are being burdened with this responsibility that was never really intended to be there in the first place. And I'm just saying this to 100% sympathize with those of you out there. If you're feeling pressured at this time, please know you're a music teacher. You're not a professional videographer or audio editor. And in most cases, you probably never took any courses on going over that. Now, the good news is we have covered specifically a lot of these things in previous modules, and I encourage you to look back at that and to look at some of these modules that I hope will give you some tools that will alleviate some of this pressure. But again, the first thing to know before creating your own virtual performance video is you're a music teacher. Right? You're not some professional videographer or audio engineer. All right. So our second thing is to know the cost. To know the cost of creating a virtual performance video, and it's going to be broken down into two concepts. It's either going to cost time or money, right? This is life. It's really either going to cost you a tremendous amount of time or a pretty decent amount of money. And you should know the cost of both before, in taking on this responsibility. And hopefully you have hopefully you can volunteer yourself and make this choice for yourself. Hopefully this is not being thrown at you. And thankfully, at least in my school district right now, our administrators are being super understanding when it comes to that. But let's talk time. How much time do you really think it takes to make a virtual performance video? Well, when you break down all of the specifics from teaching your students to perform whatever piece it is, right? That's hours and hours of work in and of itself, which we would normally do in a normal circumstance. Then, well, now that you've taught them how to perform it, now you have to teach them how to record themselves, how to video themselves. Then you have to download all of those files. Then once you download them, you need to organize the audio. You need to organize the video. And the reality is we are talking dozens and dozens of hours, okay? So factor that into your equation before you decide or commit to creating your own virtual performance. Now, on the other side, if your school district has a budget for creating your own virtual performance, just to kind of give you a ballpark figure of what I've been seeing out there and what I've had people who've reached out to me on my website asking me to create their own virtual or to edit their virtual performance. It's probably around roughly, and this may go up or probably not too far below this number, but around $10 per performer per song, right? So in my context, I'm thinking about my 8th grade chorus. There's, I think, over 120 singers, right? So those 120 vocalists, $10 per, wow, that's $1,200. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a lot. And maybe you're in a context where you have to, put on a concert of 3 different selections. That can quickly add up. Well, the reality is, if that sounds expensive, well, let's go back to the time cost. We're talking about, again, dozens and dozens of hours. So I would say if you can find someone who's willing to and again, depending on the size of your ensemble, but someone who's willing to give you a quote somewhere around that ballpark figure, I would think that's a pretty fair number. So again, you want to know that first and foremost, hey, you're a music teacher. The second point, know the cost. Right? It's either going to come down to time or money. And finally, you want to know your software. And what do I mean by this? Well, I've gone over the software that I've used in previous modules. And if you don't remember, feel free to look back at this content. But you want to know your software, and you want to know your software before creating your virtual performance video. The only thing that can make a stressful experience worse is not knowing the video or audio editing software that you're going to use and actually trying to learn it as you stumble through this process. It can really, trust me, it can really stress you out. So what I would recommend is, again, in a perfect situation, if you're considering, well, should I create this virtual performance or not, you might want to take some time and actually play around with whatever audio or video editing software you have at your fingertips. I would recommend starting with the free stuff first. So if you're a Mac user, that for sure is GarageBand and iMovie. Spend some time and, you know what, maybe record yourself. See how long or how quickly you can put together your own virtual performance of yourself. That includes, filming yourself, recording yourself, editing the audio, and then editing the video all together. And you know what? Time yourself. See how long it takes. And now then factor into that equation, well, how many students do you have? And, really consider the cost before going into this decision. And I hope that that's what this video at least gets you thinking. Again, 3 things that every music teacher should know first. And again, I can't harp on that first point enough. You are a music teacher. I'm there with you. I totally sympathize with you. For anyone who's watching this who, at whatever point in history may be creating a virtual performance video, please know it is not easy, but don't beat yourself up over it. You are a music teacher, and you are a professional music teacher. And let's focus on those strengths and build out on those weaknesses over time. And the second point, again, know the cost. It's either going to come down to time or money. And finally, know your software. All right, see you in the next module.